with a chauffeur when I couldn't drive. But part of the payback is that I visited schools all over the highlands to talk about writing, to listen to other people's writing, and to share that. And to me, that 6 months up in the highlands, going from Inverness right up to Wick, to the Isle of Skye, you know, to Fort William, to Gialoch, of all places, you know, up in a place called Maniat Moor, and it was wonderful. And people do want to talk about their writing, you know, in these places. And nobody bothered about the color of my skin or where I came from, because we were talking about an art that we were passionate about. And in one village, I remember, there was a pastor who came, and he would keep in his shorts, you know, and then he sat through and read his stories with the rest of his parishioners. So I've been invited into parishes, community libraries, you know, and in University of Iowa, I was taken to what I thought was an old folks' home, all right, home for seniors. And they told me, Su-chen, please don't tax them. You know, they are, more of them are over 70s. So I thought, okay, and I should be very gentle. But when I went there, I was told that this was a home for seniors, and last month, Yo-Yo Ma had gone there to play his cello. I said, oh. And then all these people came, senior citizens, some were in wheelchair, and one gentleman in a wheelchair, white-haired and frail, started asking me about the politics of Singapore and the economy and our port and how well we were doing. And then we gathered together, and finally about 8 of them wanted to do a writing session. And I thought it would be an hour. So I got them talking and so on, and they drank coffee and they started talking about their childhood. And before I knew it, all of them, I said, you write, and as I am the youngest among you, I'll go and have coffee. And then they started to write. When I came back, 40 minutes later, they were still writing. And the woman who told me, Su-chen, don't mind me if I fall asleep. And I thought, oh my gosh, my first writing workshop in the US and somebody's going to fall asleep. And you know, she wrote the best story among the whole of the group. She wrote about her wedding night on a farm in the winter of Iowa, and that really, and how as a kid she had to look after the cows and also to go out in winter to feed the animals and so on. Yeah, something I've never heard before. And one 75-year-old woman said in the beginning, she said she had never written a line before, but she wrote about her childhood in Iowa, I think, in the Depression, I think, Great Depression, and she described how they were so poor then that all the children had to bring sleeping mats to the kindergarten for their afternoon nap. And she said that there was one boy whose family was so poor that he couldn't afford to bring his own sleeping mat. And the teacher asked her to share her sleeping mat with this boy. And then she ended her story with, and now, 70 years later, he's still sharing my sleeping mat. Isn't that a beautiful story? You know, and that's from a woman who said she's never written a line before, you know. So I came back to Singapore then, fired with this idea and vision. And I know that I'm not an organizer. And I think I spoke to Elvin and various other people about it. And then, just that, they got him British Council, and he told you the rest of how the Avon workshops were done, you know. So everyone, we dream of everyone attending a 5-day workshop will go through the first day is introduction, but the next 4 days you will have 3 hours each. So for example, 12 hours of workshop and 2 individual sessions with each of the tutor throughout the week, and the rest of the time you write. And in the evening, the 4 evenings, 1 evening will be devoted to our special guest speaker or writer, and our first guest was Mr. Robert Yeo, playwright and poet, and he's there. And it was a wonderful cross-generation conversation for younger writers like Mei Chin and all that to listen to Robert Yeo, right? And to, how he started his trials and tribulations. And also for me, even though I'm nearer his age, I think I'm very young in the craft because I only got published when I was 38. Okay, so that was a great evening. And then we had the other writers each reading their work and responding, and we laughed and we joked, and and it was a wonderful coming up experience for all of us. And with that, I end.